I'm Lexxie, and I'm in the US. It's been a while since we've done this, but we're going to do some meal prep today. One thing that you don't know about me yet is that I really like Disney. I love Disney World. It's my happy place. Disney movies make me smile. I don't know if I go as far as saying I'm a Disney adult, but it definitely makes me happy. And one of the things I really like about Disney World is Epcot's Food and Wine Festival. I've only gotten to go to it once, but I ate so much food. One thing I didn't get to try though, and one thing that is extremely popular there is something called, I think it's called Schinkennudeln at the Germany Pavilion. And it's basically like a macaroni and cheese made with Swiss cheese, but it's also got ham and caramelized onions in it. So we're gonna make that today. And I'm gonna make a bunch of it and freeze some for later. Because that's what we do around here when we're meal prepping, right? Let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna do is chop up a bunch of onions to caramelize, because that takes some time. And I'm going to do about 6 onions. These are pretty small. But that should give us a nice amount of onion in each casserole, I think. I'll be right back, because you don't want to sit here for 10 minutes and watch me chop 6 onions. Okay, so I've got a nice pile of onions here, and I'm going to go put them in the skillet that I've got on the stove. Put the cutting board back here. I'm going to add some salt because that'll help to pull out the moisture so that these caramelize a little bit faster. And then just give them a stir. I've got those cooking on like a medium heat. You don't want them to like scorch, but you just want to caramelize them so that the natural sugars come out and they turn golden brown and delicious. While I'm here, I'm also going to throw some egg noodles in this water I've got boiling. I'm making 4 pans, and I'm going to use 2 16-ounce packages of noodles. I think they'll fit in there. Next, for a ham and cheese casserole, we need some ham, right? Okay, this is, I don't know, 3.5 pounds of ham. This is part of a spiral cut ham that I ended up getting and cut into portions and froze until I would need it. Well, now I need it. Let me throw this in the sink. Now all I'm going to do here is cut off any real big pieces of fat. That looks pretty good. And then I'm going to cut this up into thin strips that are about the same width as the onions. There's a lot of ham on here. I hope it's going to all fit on the cutting board. That is indeed a lot of ham. I gotta wait for those noodles or the onions to finish cooking so that I can get this on the stove. But what I'm gonna do is just put this in a skillet with some oil and kind of let some of this caramelize. Get that yummy brown crust that kind of makes it smell like bacon. I'll be back in a few minutes. All right, the noodles are done and they are drained and sitting over there on the counter. I moved the onions to the back, they're still cooking. But I've got this pan here heating up. I'm going to add some oil and throw this ham in. Now the point of this is just to kind of evaporate some of the water, make the ham flavor more intense. And by caramelizing some of the sugars on the surface of the ham, that creates more flavor as well. Starting to run low on spatulas. Up a little. I'm just going to let these cook for a bit and I'll be back when it's time to show you the next step. Okay, so the onions are done, which gives me back one of my burners. I moved the ham here to the back. It's still cooking away. Most of the excess water is evaporated out of it, but I'd still like to get a little bit of color on it. But now we need to make the sauce. So first, we're going to make a roux. And we've done that before here. The first thing you need to make a roux is butter. And I need quite a lot of sauce here. So I'm going to use just under a stick and a half of butter. That is this many grams. I know, I should probably have memorized how many grams is in a stick of butter by now, but I just don't have that kind of head for numbers, so I don't. I'm awful with dates. Okay, once this butter melts, we're going to add some flour to it and stir it up until we've got a paste. At that point, you start stirring in milk a little bit at a time until you get a nice sauce consistency. When we get to that point, I'll show you what's next. Okay, I added just under a half gallon of milk. My sauce has come up to a simmer. It's coating a spoon nicely. And now we have to add our other ingredients. What might those be? Cheese. Lots of cheese. I'm going to save one of these to top these with. But the rest of them, gotta turn that burner off. The rest of them I'm going to melt into the sauce. Now, if you're cutting this recipe down to one pan, that means you're going to use about a cup and a half of cheese. Probably about 2 cups total, about a cup and a half in the sauce and half a cup to top. Now, I haven't salted this yet because the cheese is going to have a lot of salt and the ham is going to have a lot of salt. So I wanted to get the cheese into the sauce before I decided if it needed salt or not. So basically what you're making here is a macaroni and cheese sauce, just with Swiss cheese instead of cheddar or whatever you might use in your mac and cheese. This is getting thick and delicious. I'm going to turn that down because I don't want it to scorch on me. I am going to add some pepper. And this is a lot of sauce here, so don't skimp. And some garlic. That's not enough. That's about 2 tablespoons of garlic and probably 1 tablespoon of pepper. Wow, that is some intense cheesy sauce. Needs more pepper, and it does need some salt. The garlic's pretty good though. And it's actually a little thick, so I'm going to add a little more milk. Sometimes it's hard to gauge exactly how much cheese is going to thicken up a sauce. Give it another taste. That is much better. It still feels like it needs a little bit more salt, but I know that ham has a lot of salt in it, so I really don't want to add any more. At least not yet. Let me reposition some things and I'll show you how we're going to put this all together. Okay, so I've got this giant pot of noodles and the giant pot of sauce and my ham and my onions. And we're just going to mix it all together in that pot. In go the onions. That's heavy. In goes the ham. And there is no way I can lift this one. But that is why the world made ladles. It's still pretty hot. Oh, I hope this fits. We'll make it work, right? Put that there. That. start to stir this in. That is not the spoon I want to use for this. This is the spoon I want to use for this. It's just a little bit stronger than the plastic one. Although now I have cheese sauce on my counter. And now I have pasta on my counter. The trials and tribulations of cooking, huh? But you get the idea. You just get all this together and stir it up. I'm going to keep working on this. I'll see you back in a minute and show you how I'm going to pack this up for the freezer. All right, I've got that all mixed up. And while the things were cooking, I went ahead and set up my trays. And these are done the exact same way as I do the trays for the lasagna or the enchiladas that you've already seen. Well, I hope you've already seen. I will link those videos down below though. I also do have a playlist for meal prep. It's not a big playlist, but it's there. But what you're looking at here is basically 2 strips of parchment paper, one going either way, and that's just going to help you get this out of your pan once it's a food brick. Could you get 18,000 of these and just keep the glass pans in your freezer? Of course you could, but I have 4, and I really don't want to store 30. So this is how I do it. Next is 2 pieces of plastic wrap, one going this way and one going this way. And then I put a square of parchment paper down in the bottom, and that just helps keep the plastic wrap from getting stuck in the noodles. But I've got 3 of these packed up to freeze, and one that I'm going to save for tomorrow. If I'm putting all this work in, and I want to have one to eat tomorrow, right? Okay, and all we're going to do is scoop this into our pans roughly evenly. And hope that it all fits. Something about like that. And then I'm just gonna sprinkle the top with some panko. And you know, I was going to put more cheese on this, but I don't think it needs it. I think it's got plenty of cheese. So I'm just going to save that bag of cheese for something else. And then once you get them full, what you do to save these for the freezer is you just fold up the saran wrap to make a nice little package. Then this is going to go into the freezer just like this. It'll probably take about 2 days to freeze. Once it's frozen solid, use these pieces of paper to pop it out, and then put your brick into a Ziploc, or you can wrap it in foil. But I am going to go ahead and pack up the rest of these. And like I said, one is for dinner. If I remember to take a picture of that, or a video clip, I will insert that here, but let's face it, historically I'm not good at remembering that. Let's see if I do. So I didn't take a video, but I did get some pictures. And let me tell you, this was absolutely delicious. But it occurred to me that I never told you how to cook this. You want to take your food brick out of the freezer and unwrap all of your packaging off of it and put it in your glass baking dish. Then let it thaw in the refrigerator. It's probably going to take like 2 days. Then when you go to cook it, put the whole dish into the oven cold and turn your oven on to 350 degrees. Then let it bake for about 45 minutes to an hour until it's golden brown and delicious. I hope you love it as much as I did. But at any rate, that's all I've got for today. Do you like meal prepping? Have you done it before? Have I inspired you to try? Is there anything you want to see me meal prep? Let me know down below. Let's have a conversation. And if you could give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye!